Person to talk to here.
Uh-oh.
Ian.
Ian.
What was the jury like?
Yes, tell us.
You got to turn Nathan's mic down.
Amazing.
Oh, let me turn my mic down. I'll turn it down.
So that was a bit of a horror movie for Amber Heard because suddenly the dead jurors came back to life and got interested. And like, yeah, there was actual thunder. I don't know if you guys could hear it. But, there were a couple of lightning strikes nearby, I think, and there was thunder sounds. And one of the jurors, so there was a clap of thunder midway through Amber's testimony, and one of the jurors
literally,
laughed.
not metaphorically.
Yeah, there's big
literal thunder.
The fact that Amber stared at us. Amber stared at us 7 times.
Yes, Amber repeatedly stared at us down and also made facial expressions at us like a creepy ass smile.
To you guys specifically?
Yes, it was. Yes. She was panning the room, and she stopped on us and made creepy expressions. So
that entire sidebar. So that entire sidebar that started the cross.
Yeah,
she kept on. That was when she kept on staring, literally directly at us.
Yeah, it was freaky. So
that's the bad guy.
Maybe she's
the bad guy.
You. Maybe she's been watching.
The bad guy.
It is. Entirely possible.
That's pretty much a given at this point.
So yeah.
Okay.
So we also should figure out the line standards thing, because
yes,
we are going to be dead.
I think tomorrow is going to be a little bit hard. You should probably just exit the courtroom and just get right in line again.
Yeah.
At this pace.
Yeah. The thing is that we will also die if we do that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put this. I'm going to pin this link here.
All right, because it's they've got signs up saying they won't take standards before 1 a.m. But I'm or loiterers. So I don't. Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be people gathering somewhere. So
yeah, they will be gathering. That's for sure.
The jury was a lot more engaged on this cross. You could see them waking up, and you could see them getting interested. And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great cross. There were a few places where I thought a couple more questions could be asked that, might have put it a little further into the goal. But you could see the points where the juror, you could see moments where just everybody wrote something down. They were really interested in those millions of dollars.
Okay.
And the repeated okay, you didn't donate the money. The jurors were not liking her responses to that. I mean, there was no way for her to fix it, but the jury was definitely not appreciating her responses.
I can only imagine. So the whole part about the pledge versus donated part, they were not buying it.
They were not buying it.
And was there anybody that was resuming taking notes at this point?
The one guy who previously had been kind of falling asleep was taking copious notes.
The gallery was audible. The gallery was audible during the pledge donate thing.
Yeah.
The jurors could hear the gallery responding.
You could hear people gasp. There was a moment where people just gasped. And
which part? Do you remember which part that was?
Pledged. Yeah.
It was that back and forth. It was the third time.
Yeah, there was just. It was. We're gonna try.
What time are you gonna line up?
We're figuring that out.
Next hour. Oh, in 1 hour? Probably.
We're trying to figure that out, but we're on a live stream here.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So it was wild just watching people waking up and taking note.
I'm so glad you guys were there.
How many people on the stream? How many people?
We've got 59,000 right now. We had over 61,000 at the peak. So incredible.
I have a question for Ian.
Yeah, there was one guy who was sort of doing a back and forth, and his jaw just dropped at one point.
One of the jurors?
one of the jurors.
What about what? Do you
And
remember?
I'd have to check my notes here as to when his jaw dropped, but do you remember when the? Do you remember when G's jaw dropped?
Yeah, I wrote that.
We're just checking the notes here on when that moment was.
Yeah.
The Danish interview.
Yeah.
I get the Danish interview. Are you going to be around you in the next couple of weeks?
When Jay turned back around after watching the Danish interview, his mouth was slightly open and like it was like he didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the Dutch interview.
Yeah.
That Dutch interview slammed the door. That slammed
Yes.
the door shut
I
on.
knew that was gonna happen.
Letters. We're gonna use letters because that's how we've named the jury.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So-
That makes sense.
We've got A through I for our juror names.
So,
Me, I'm independent. I'm
hey, quick question, Ian.
aspiring writer. I really
Yeah.
don't have.
Hey, so at the end of the day, at the end of that monstrosity, what did you? There were a couple of jurors that you thought were pro Amber. How were those
Yeah.
jurors reacting to what they heard?
Well, I wouldn't say that they were super pro Amber. There were some people I wasn't so sure about. The one woman who seemed like she might be, I don't think she was pro Amber. The one in the front row. Hey, the juror in the front row. The female juror in the front row. 50s.
Yeah. She started to turn toward the cross. She didn't like. She started getting more frustrated with the donation versus the pledge thing, and you could tell that she just stopped. She stopped looking back and forth, and she just kind of kept on Amber. Like,
Yeah.
she just kind of dropped.
Okay.
And there's one guy who I thought was really. There's one guy who I thought was really disliking Amber. His expression didn't change much when they moved to cross, but it's also the only time I saw him uncap his pen. So he was taking notes, and he hadn't been taking notes throughout Amber's side of things. So
So he started during the cross.
he started during the cross. He didn't take many notes, but he uncapped his pen and he took some notes. So it's been interesting. They don't like her, certainly. I don't know if that's enough to get us to, a verdict, but they certainly don't like her.
Interesting.
Her testimony was not going over well.
Wow.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question, Ian?
Yeah.
When Camille was like throwing those darts and like just nailing her with those like undeniable facts, did you see like any smirks or the jury looking at each other like, oh snap type thing?
There weren't really, the jury wasn't really looking at each other much. And they've been pretty good about not smirking.
They're stone.
They're
stone faced. It's insane.
They're really good at not smirking, in fact. And so nothing quite so blatant, but, they still are giving off what I think are tells. The one who sort of E, I think we've been calling her, sort of our back row right. She had previously been spending a lot of her time scanning the crowd with with her eyes, and she's wearing a mask, so you can't really see a lot of her face. She spent a lot more time looking at Amber, and then eventually she just stopped looking at Amber and was just tracking Camille.
Wow.
And
A lot of them did.
yeah,
And well, it was so for a while there. Camille had the jury on a string. She had them question, and they were bouncing their heads back and forth.
yeah,
She had a really good rhythm set up. And Elaine, to her credit, Elaine did a great job of cutting that flow, like stopped it in its tracks.
that big interruption where they go up and they bring the documents up and they have that sidebar, and then they come back and she's like, oh, we need a second round of that. That sort of broke that spell, but it didn't break their interest. So it was effective. I will give Elaine that. She certainly accomplished what she needed to in that moment. She didn't win that objection, but she won that objection because the point wasn't necessary. I don't think she thought she could actually keep that out, but she scored. She scored a victory on that just because of the breaking the flow. The jury was way on board and just spellbound for that moment. So that ending was to Heard's credit.
Okay.
After the trial ended, or after things wrapped, Amber bolted for the door.
Yes. Yes.
I have seen deer run from gunshots slower than that.
So, seriously, by the time we stood up, you see the door closing behind.
Yeah. If it was a cartoon, there'd just be like the little outline of her slowly fading in a dust cloud.
I bet
she's got to go through that tomorrow.
I bet for the first time in this trial, she cried actual tears in that moment as soon as she was.
Well, the most.
Oh, wait, Spidey's on the screen.
There's our.
Yeah, Spidey. How did you like her chin game?
Listen, it was better. I think she caught wind of my video somewhere, because it wasn't as like this from last week, like the thing, it was still there, but like she's getting better at it.
Well, if she recognizes Rob, she recognizes you, Spidey.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Sure.
She's learning.
Or I think
so.
Yeah, objection, speculation. But I think I don't know. Or like it's so hard to keep up this act for that long, especially because she's been doing it for days. And in comes Camille just blasting away at her. Like it's so straining on your brain, and it's exhausting to think of everything you said. And what can I say? Oh, they have documents of this. It's so hard.
So this is hard. This is kind of hard to clarify. So the jury was they were defensive of her. They were kind of on her side when Camille started in on cross. There was a lot of people that were staring dead center at Camille and kind of like would keep their eyes on Camille or keep their eyes on JD's table even when they had a sidebar. Amber Heard did not help herself during sidebars. She was staring down the jury, and juror D that we call was staring straight back at her. It was weird. It was creepy.
Well, and later she was just sort of panning the jury, trying to find a sympathetic face, and nobody was meeting her gaze.
And that's when she started.
And she started panning, and you could see her stop at us, and like she made some weird facial expressions.
There was a weird smirk that wasn't really a smirk.
Yeah, it was creepy. Like
you did not feel seduced, Ian?
No.
No,
okay.
I gotta find the place on the video where she actually did kind of see. The first time that she looked at me, she did one of the eye touchy thingies after she saw me, and it was I don't know, it's creepy. We were directly in her line of sight, which was not comfortable.
Yeah, we're gonna have to track that down and figure out what that was, because it was weird.
I'm curious, being in the courtroom. I just wanted to ask, what was like being there live? What was the most? Was there one moment that was the most surprising to you, or the most interesting in court today?
I mean, the Thunder and Juror H finally cracked a smile.
Yeah, Juror H has been like stone-faced, real small expressions, right? But Amber's testifying. She's answering questions. And there's this crack of thunder, and she gets this, like, Juror H gets this big smile on her face, and it lasts for about a half second. Like, it's a big, like, about to laugh smile. And then she clamps it down again. She's like, I can't be seen doing that.
Wait, it was the thunder that made her laugh?
Vasquez was crying. Like, she was that stressed, like, after the trial. After, I don't know if the stream was still running, if you guys could still see it, but afterwards, a bunch of people were approaching the bar to just congratulate her on the cross, and she started like welling up and tearing up. Like you could see that she was so stressed going into that.
Yes.
I got up there. I told her I thought she did a fantastic job, and she was clearly emotional. And to be fair, that's the moment of a lifetime, right? And she came in really smooth. There were a lot of moments where, Amber starts trying to disrupt her, and she's just like, oh, well, let me transition pretty seamlessly to, taking that apart.
Does anyone on the panel know if there's anybody getting the dailies, the transcripts?
So what's his name? I think Nick Wallace, was trying to get them on a daily basis. He was, I think he's been working on that. Yeah, but I don't know if he's been able to get them. But a couple things. Number one, I think we should start calling her Camille, Goddess of Thunder. And I want to see memes of her as female Thor. So please, guys, people in the chat, please get on that. I would love to see that. Number two,
lightning bolts in her eyes.
Yes, exactly. And number two, there's a super chat here. Can you ask him what Elaine said? There was a moment, I can't remember exactly what the exchange was,
right?
But there was a moment where we couldn't hear what Elaine said because of
and Camille said, I think it's really inappropriate or something like that.
Yeah.
We couldn't hear it either.
No, I could hear it. Oh shit. What was the subject matter again? Just take me back to the subject matter.
They're doing charities.
Oh yeah, Elaine was objecting and saying that it was she already testified that it was
shit, I just ran out of battery.
We love you.
And then they died.
Oh no.
Well, he meant that quite literally, it seems.